Ngayon,
Build a business based on your own
pwede na.
needs. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your
Meron ka na papasok.
security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Why do we wait until tomorrow when we could do it today? Step out of your comfort zone and take a leap of faith. You can learn and grow at your own speed and build a business based on your own needs. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Bedrock bookkeepers rocket from their home. Bedrock bookkeepers make it on their own. Bedrock bookkeepers living in the zone. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family. Well, I bet you didn't know you could make money from your home and take control of your security. Yeah, I bet you didn't know that you could make it on your own and take good care of your family.
Thank you to Bedra. Challenges. I think mas mahirap yung tax against payroll. Payroll is easier to do than the tax. Mahirap siya pero masaya kapag nakuha mo. Thank you, Bedrock. Thank you, Joe. And thank you to the Bedrock team.
Thank you so much, Joe and the Bedrock team. This is very challenging on my part, but it's part of growth and to learn more, including the bookkeeping job. Thank you so much for the challenges that you gave us. I know that we still have more time to familiarize everything before we get into the real payroll job. Thank you so much.
Congrats sa us, batch 3 of the Payroll Masterclass. Big thank you to Miss Aileen for always available to answer all our questions, and to my fellow batchmates for their constant support and motivations. And to Joe, thank you for all the challenges. Your project may have caused us some headache, as always. But you told us it's good to have a headache because we learned from that. But it pushed us to dig deeper, learn more, and to realize our potential. Now I see that your teaching style was all about pushing us to be a resourceful and self-reliant, and appreciate it. Thank you, Bedrock.
So thank you so much. This Bedrock experience really taught me a lot that it's not too late to start all over. It's not too late to change career if necessary, as what Joe have told me during our one-on-one conversation. You just have to know the why, and then it will motivate you. This is a new milestone for me. If you have that dream inside of you, no one can stop you. And as they say, the only way to success is to focus. and believe in yourself. For believing in yourself, you are halfway there. Thank you so much, everyone, and congratulations.
One of the things I've learned is to be resourceful and be confident, even if we don't know, research and ask questions. Thank you for Joe and the Bedrock team for really opening this course to us. It's a great opportunity for us to learn and get like a hands-on experience to do payroll tasks in a US setting.
Sobrang accommodating ng team kasi kapag meron akong questions, very accommodating. So, na-appreciate ko. Sobrang na-appreciate ko kasi I've been in some courses na din. Pero kapag may mga questions, parang nagiging active lang sila kapag sa group. Siguro dahil andun yung mga boss, superior. But kapag may mga direct messages ako sa admin, nakakakuha pa rin ako ng prompt response. So, kung gano'n sila ka-prompt mag-response dun sa group, ganun din kapag direct messages. And kay Joe, I've learned so much a lot, hindi lang about dun sa technical course, but as a person, sobrang napaka-motivating young person. What I appreciated about Joe made me realize na pag naging intern ka sa Bedrock or kahit siguro sa ang company, kung if you will work for an experience, yung experience kasi na ibibigay sa'yo is more than just a money. Grabe yung encouragement sa akin ni Joe. So, more than the technical skills na nakuha ko sa course na to, mas na-appreciate ko yung hindi lang si Joe but even Miss Luz and Miss Catherine, Miss Eileen nung nag-share sila about experience nila.
For me, I'm specializing so in the consultation kasi I see to it that service offer ko to cater crypto accounting is addressed especially during the course and in terms of preparation with ITR and all that. I asked Joe specific questions about it and it was addressed, and I appreciate his knowledge in terms of updates and all that. So I really appreciate the course and Joe and of course the team. So me and my wife are always asking in terms of how we do this, and the specifics about the team are really helpful and giving us guidance on how to do it. So many thanks, guys.
Masasabi ko sa course is napaka-helpful niya, especially yung practice sets. Yan, tapos na-familiarize din ako sa paggawa ng trick sa tax prepare. Yan, so congratulations sa atin, and looking forward ako sa Jumpstart community natin. Yan, mamimiss ko tong class na to, mga classmates natin. Thank you po sa Bedrock, kay Joe, sa Bedrock team, especially din po kay Ma'am Eileen, kay Luz. Sa lahat po, maraming salamat.
Thank you so much for the teachings. Actually, I enrolled in this course because I plan to target also US market clients. I don't really have clients in the US because I'm not that confident that I know their tax rules. I think this course will help me be confident in handling US clients. I actually enjoyed working on the Drake because it's my first time to experience that one, and also the forms. It's my first time to see all the forms. I like about this course is it helped me to stay committed in what I promised to do for myself.
With this course, it was the push that I need to be serious and study the whole process of tax preparation. Before, I don't know where to put the wages, the pensions, the retirement distributions. I would like to thank Joe and the team.
Doing this 5-week course is not that easy. So you have that you need to have that accounting background already, because if not, it's like you will be misled. Where are you going? What are these numbers are for? So you really have to have that background already. So if you haven't have that background yet, maybe it's preferably to enroll in the 13-week course. With this, I've learned a lot, and I have a lot of questions with Joe. he remembers me. I know because of my question. So one of my takeaways of this, I love this part. It is in the chapter 4. It says, in the end, no amount of tax planning or problem solving strategies is going to be of use to any entrepreneur if they don't have a solid financial foundation based on good bookkeeping and sound record keeping. So that phrase to me is it's more of a bookkeeper bookkeeper friendly phrase because you will not have that good tax planning if your books is total mess. So it really starts with good bookkeeping and then a strategic tax planning. So thank you for this course. For now, I'm still enjoying my bookkeeping work, but who knows? In the future, I will have that gut and courage to be a tax preparer.
Magandang araw po sa lahat. Ako si Malana and I working as an online accountant and bookkeeper for almost 2 years. I was part of this batch 2 of the 13-week course for accountants and tax preparers. So that was around August last year. And then I have this client which I got from Upwork. The client has a huge problem on her books. So I think of Bedrock. I think of Joe because I know very well that Joe is really genuine, sincere in helping small business owners in the US. So what I did is I told my client to book a call with Joe so that she can directly communicate with Joe and mention about her business, not only cleaning up her books, but Joe can also help her in organizing her financials. For me, Bedrock Partnership Program, in one word, it's more on learning. Since I am part of the partnership program, so I learn a lot from Joe directly because we are working on the same client. So working with Joe means lots of learnings about US accounting, about US taxation. So it's learning. From August up to now, I continue to learn so many things from Joe because we are working on the same books. So that means that I learn so many practical things from him. So that's actually one of the precious and most valuable thing that I benefit from Bedrock. I can't believe actually that Joe is mentioning to me that, okay, Malona, let us have a call. So I told myself, what? A free call with him? Around 30 minutes, 1 hour, or more than 1 hour. So imagine, saan ka makakita ng US accountant na magbibigay sa'yo ng ganun kahabang oras, tapos ganun ka-valuable yung pinagkukwentuhan nyo, ganun ka-valuable yung tinuturo niya sa'yo. That is the most precious and valuable thing that I learned from Joe. Humility, and at the same time, the learnings that no one can ever get that from me. You have to get this chance to be partner of Bedrock because not only the monetary amount that we receive from affiliate fees, but also the learnings that we can get being a Bedrock partner. So that is my message to all the online accountants and bookkeepers or students of Bedrock. Thank you.
CEO and founder of Bedrock Tax Solutions.
It is an accounting firm in Bethpage, New York. A natural entrepreneur
And certified public accountant.
His passion is to help small business owners thrive and succeed in their business goals and aspirations.
Has dedicated over 40 years to working with thousands of business owners.
His heart is truly to help the Filipinos get this golden opportunity of becoming a freelancer.
So without further ado,
Welcome Mr. Joe Dichara.
Kumusta?
Hello, Joe and everyone. I'm Juvie Ebo, a co-pastor of the Heart of Jesus Discipling Multitudes International here in Bislig City. I'm the pastor of Catherine Furing, one of Joe's workers. Thank you, Joe, for visiting us. I'm so grateful to have known you in person. Grateful also for all the favor that you have extended us, the scholarships and the 50% discount of all your courses. Thank you so much for giving us a free seminar on how to start your freelancing career and how to gain financial freedom through it. This seminar impacted us a lot through your story and even the story of your mom, your first worker. It inspired us and gave us hope that even in our late years, we can still earn income. We can still achieve financial freedom. And so thank you so much. Your humility also impacted us. You're not only a boss, but you're also a friend. Thank you for the friendship, Joe. Blessings to your career. I declare that your territory, your influence will expand more, will be enlarged, and your humility will bring you to the top. And the topmost blessings in this field of business, you will be able to achieve this year. More blessings, Joe. Thank you so much. God bless you, your company, and your team.
Hi, my name is Vicky Wanadana, and I'd like to tell you about my association with Joe. 10 years ago, I was working as a manager for a condominium. I needed more time at home because I was taking care of both my parents. So I needed to leave that job. I talked to Joey about it, and he asked me to work for him. My answer was, are you crazy? I live in New Mexico and you live in New York. No problem, he said. We'll do it online, and I'll teach you. A little at a time. Over the years, he taught me data entry, reconciliation, payroll, and some other things that I do for him every now and then. Joe, I found, is a very considerate teacher. He works at your pace, and he's available at any time. So I would recommend him if you're looking to either start a business or you're in a small business, because you need the kind of knowledge that he has. I'm still learning from him. I attend all of his classes. You would do good to look into it. By the way, did I mention that I'm 75? I started working for Joe when I was 65, so it's never too late to get started at.
Let us put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Lord, may your goodness and love be present amongst us today. Come bless our gathering with unity, hope, and vision. Lord, we pray for unity. Build in us all a deep respect for one another, so that your church may be one. Lord, we pray for hope. Come stir your hope within our hearts and renew our faith. Lord, we pray for vision. May your vision fill our lives as we seek to reveal your love. We ask all this in the glorious name of Jesus. Amen.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hello, Mr. Broughton.
Good morning, Mr. Joe.
So I've been looking forward to this again, another training from from you, the master of conflict resolution. So welcome, everyone. If do me a favor, if you're a newbie, put it in the chat that this is your first time in one of our weekly trainings. And if you are, welcome. And I want to say good morning to my friend and partner, Coach Yan Yan. Are you there, Marianne?
Yes,
I
and
know you're
good morning, everyone. Morning, Larry. Good
there.
afternoon.
Good morning.
So I guess we can get on with it. Do I need to introduce you, Larry? Or you can do a pretty good job yourself.
You should do it, man. I'm your guest.
Yeah, sure.
I
I'm
don't know if there's
not
anybody on
great.
who I'm not sure if there's anyone who's on here who has not seen me before. So
Yeah, so Marianne, you're better at this than me. So what don't you do?
Okay, good morning, everyone. So, of course, we would like to introduce our in-house guest speaker. This is one of the thought leaders on his industry, keynote speaker, and well-known in California. So, for those people who doesn't know Mr. Larry Broughton, yeah, good morning, everyone.
good morning. Shall I just jump in? We ready to go?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey guys, how are you? Grace, it's good to see you. Hello, Luz. Nice to see so many friendly faces. Glad you're here. Hey, I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me. Well, whoop, host disabled participant screen sharing. So whoever the host is, I need permission, please.
Yeah, we had a bad experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask later.
Please try
When you're ready.
again. Yeah, please try again to share.
There we go. Okay. All right. So you should now see my slide deck. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Good. All right, my friends. Hey, it's good to see everyone. Hey, before we get going on today's presentation, I'm going to do a bit of an accountability check. A couple of months ago, we all discussed, and I have seen some familiar faces on here, the idea of the 100-hour rule. Who remembers the 100-hour rule? And who wants to share it? I'm just going to sit here quietly until somebody chimes in and says what it is.
I remember it.
Okay, Joe, what is it?
In fact, it's stuck in my brain like a bad memory.
Good.
Because
What is it?
it's not easy, and I say that because I haven't been following it, even though I know it. What if you spend 100 hours a year learning something, you're like 98% ahead of the rest of the world.
All right, so that's close. But if you spend 100 hours doing anything, it doesn't have to be in a year, but 100 hours, so let's say it's jujitsu or playing the piano or learning a language, you will be better at that than 90% of the rest of the human race. Okay. And so I brought this up when we were talking about the real difficult challenge of learning a new language as an adult. We were talking about English in the corporate arena. And many of you made the commitment that you're going to start practicing English just a few minutes a day. Because if you practice anything for 10 or 12 minutes a day, you'll pretty quickly get to that 100-hour mark, right? Like it'll take about a year to do that. But if you commit a half hour a day, holy smokes, you're going to get there much quicker. So how many folks are actually, you don't have to raise your hand, but I'm just going to ask you, like, are you still doing that? Are you practicing? And that's going to be a key word today. Are you practicing your English that we all committed to a few months ago? But I promise you this, I'll tell you what won't happen. You won't get better at anything unless you practice it. Okay? That makes sense? So I'm maybe I am trying to make you feel guilty a little bit. All right. But with that said, I am going to kind of dive into here what we're going to be talking about today. Because what I really want to share with you folks today is some tips and techniques on this. And I know Joe's been excited to hear about this. It's about handling difficult clients. We've all had them. Okay. We have all had difficult clients. And I also want to share with you some strategies for conflict resolution. And then, as importantly, client retention. The truth is, in today's fast-paced, ever-changing business world, effectively managing these client relationships is more important than ever, because boy, people can go out there and they can write negative reviews about you on Google or industry-specific reviews, right? So whether you're in sales or you're in customer service or you're a bookkeeper, you're an accounting manager, the ability to handle challenging clients can make or can break your business. It can make or break your success. And so this morning, we're going to explore some practical strategies to turn these really difficult, uncomfortable situations into opportunities for growth and long-term partnerships. But before we really dive in, I want to share with you some powerful books that have helped me over my career to learn how to successfully deal with difficult customers and difficult clients. And in my hotel company, we have our supervisors and managers read all these books. And the first two, the Hey, I'm the Customer, in the middle one there, Knock Your Socks Off Service, and this is called Service Recovery. Those are very easy to read. The next one, called Emotional Intelligence, is a little bit more academic. It's a very good book. It's not a difficult read, but it's not as easy breezy as those first two. But Daniel Goleman was one of the early pioneers uncovering the power of emotional intelligence. So if you guys want to write those down or take a screenshot of those, I would really encourage you to read those or listen to them on Audible or books on tape or whatever it is that you do. Okay. So the things I want to talk to you about today in our agenda is understanding difficult clients, effective communication strategies, conflict resolution techniques, and then client retention strategies. And we'll do a really quick wrap up on that. Okay. But let's start with understanding difficult clients. How many folks here, raise your hand or give me a verbal yes, have had to deal with a difficult client in the past year? No one? There we go. There's one. Joe, I see two. Well, I'm betting it's more. There we go. Grace, yes. All right. Yeah, it happens pretty frequently. And if you have not had to deal with a difficult client, you're very lucky. I promise you this, though, at some point in your career, you will have to deal with a difficult client. But understanding difficult clients is absolutely crucial. It's vital for effective management, right? So we're going to dive a little deeper into the four major types of challenging clients that most of us are going to encounter at some point. And the first type is this. This is the angry client. If you have not had an angry client, you've probably seen an angry client or customer. Maybe you're out at a restaurant or you're at a retail store, or maybe you've seen videos of it online, right? These clients are often very confrontational and they're very emotional. They're explosive, right? They may raise their voice. They're going to use aggressive or foul language, or they'll even make threats, right? They may say, like, if you don't fix this right now, Joe, I'm taking my business somewhere else, right? We've probably heard this before or seen it somewhere, right? So let me go back there. The key approach to this, though, if you get one of these angry clients, you got to remain calm, okay? And don't take it personally. And we're going to talk about this here in a little bit. But their anger is often rooted in frustration with a situation outside your control, and it's not about you personally at all. As hard as that is, remain calm and don't take it personally, okay? The next type of difficult person that many of us have to deal with is the demanding client, okay? So the first one was angry. This one's demanding. These are clients that have unrealistic expectations and constantly push the boundaries. You know, they might insist on an immediate response at all hours of the day and night, or they demand service that's well beyond the scope of what your agreement is. They may have hired you to just be their bookkeeper, but now they're demanding that you meet with their bank or that you prepare their budget, right? Well, you're my bookkeeper. You're supposed to do this. Well, is it in the scope of work, right? So these could be demanding people, all right? So the key approach when dealing with these types of folks is to clearly define the boundaries and the expectations from the start. Joe, you probably heard me talk about this before. You have to train people how to treat you. If you allow them to be a bully to you in the beginning, they will always be a bully to you. Okay? So you have to consistently, regularly reinforce what your boundaries and expectations are. Okay? By the way, I'm going to give a little sidebar here for a second. This is going to be one of those webinars where there's going to be a lot of information. And I'm going to encourage you to go back and watch this one, okay, and take some notes on it and develop an action plan, okay? So the third type of difficult client, and by the way, here's another sidebar. Why are we even talking about this? Well, we're talking about this because we want to have fewer customers and more clients. Do you remember this? We've talked about this in the past. Customers are transactional. They'll buy from you once. Clients are relational. These are people you want to have long-lasting relationships with them. Now, the caveat to this is if you can train these difficult customers and clients and turn them into good clients, those are the ones worthy of keeping. I'm not suggesting, Joe, or anyone else on here, that you must always keep a difficult client. If you've tried having respectful conversations with a difficult client and they still don't get any better and they treat you poorly and they treat your team members poorly, there may be times when you have to just cut them loose, set them free, is what I mean by that, okay? I hope that makes some sense to you. So, we're talking about the indecisive client. So these are folks these are folks who are just unable to make any decision. These are the clients who often lead to project delays or missed deadlines, and then they blame it on you, right? So with these types of folks, you might have to say to them, or they might say to you, well, I'm not sure, Luz, can we look at more options? And they'll do this over and over again, and they'll want multiple revisions, right? So the key approach with dealing with these types of people is to provide clear, limited choices and set decision deadlines to keep the project moving forward. Okay, we have to be clear, give them limited choices. Like instead of saying, hey, here are 31 flavors of ice cream, offer them chocolate or vanilla. Choose one or the other. Okay. And finally, the fourth type of difficult client is the unreasonable client. These are clients, they make illogical requests, or they can even refuse to accept facts, or they don't live in reality. They might insist on impossible deadlines, right? Like they've got a budget that they have to present to someone in 48 hours, and they want you to do a complete budget, start to finish, and get it back to them in 24 hours. And you've never even started on it before. You don't even have assumption sheets ready for them yet, right? There are these types of clients out there. They're going to insist on impossible deadlines, or they're going to reject these well-researched information that you put together that doesn't align with their views. These are people who like, it's my way or the highway. So the key approach when dealing with these types of people is to use data and industry standards to support any position that you might take, and be prepared for respectful disagreement from these types of people, okay? So now what I want to do is move to this understanding difficult customers and clients, okay? So we said, here are the four types, right? Now, let's try to understand them a little bit, okay? There are what I think are three root causes to why these people are difficult, and it kind of supports their own behavior, okay? And so the first root cause is just simply unmet expectations, all right? I like this little picture here. This is the little boy. It says, I don't expect much, just one small lick of that popsicle, and it sends him overboard, right? So often these clients become difficult when they feel that their expectations just aren't being met by you, right? They expected one thing, you're providing something else. This could be due to this miscommunication about the deliverables, about timelines, or the scope of work, okay? The second root cause of difficult clients is simple miscommunication that I just referred to. Sometimes what we think we've clearly explained to someone, to a client, isn't what the client understood at all. And this can lead to absolute frustration, frankly, on both sides, right? And again, we're going to flush some of this out here in a little bit. I'm just giving you an overview right now. The third root cause of these the third root cause of difficult customers is this, and that I experience this. I admit that I've been in relationships. I've treated retail people. I've snapped people before because of personal stress and external factors that had nothing to do with the problem that I was dealing with right then. The fact may be that the client's difficult behavior that you're recognizing might be due to any pressure that we're not aware of, like company restructuring, for instance, like personal issues they're having, financial pressures, marital problems, market challenges in their business, and they're feeling the stress. And there's a saying here in the States. I don't know if you have it there in the Philippines. The straw that broke the camel's back. Right? A camel can carry a lot of weight, and you keep putting weight on, you keep putting weight on, you keep putting weight on. At some point, you put the one piece of straw in there, and the camel just dumps it all. Right? He just had enough. Right? So sometimes that's what happens to people, and sometimes you or me, we end up being on the receiving end of this. So understanding that these root causes are out of our control sometimes, it does allow us to approach difficult clients with much more empathy, right? And when you offer empathy, you're more likely to offer effective solutions, to solve problems, and to communicate more respectfully. Okay. And so now we're going to move into effective communication strategies. I think there's probably 3 effective communication strategies that I'd like to talk to you about today. And the first one is no surprise to many of you. I've heard you folks talk about this before. I see some of you do it in action. And if you want, you might want to take a screenshot of this or take a picture of this, and you can blow it up and look at it later on. But also, Joe and the team will have this in the replay. But you can go and look at this in more detail. But active listening is really key. It really goes just beyond hearing words. It's about fully understanding a message, okay? So after a client speaks, active listening is basically just rephrasing or paraphrasing and summarizing what they've said to you, but do it in your own words. For example, you might say, so, Joe, if I understand this correctly, you're concerned about the project timeline because, and then you go into the reason. Okay. Or you can say, now what I hear you saying is, and then give them an opportunity to correct you. The next thing about active listening is to use open-ended questions to gather more information. Okay. Don't just take the surface information you're given first. Ask open-ended questions. So for instance, you could ask, hey, Joe, can you tell me more about why you feel like this timeline is unrealistic? I may have said, Joe, the timeline, we can get this back to you in 72 hours. He goes, no, I need it in 24 hours. Okay, tell me more. Tell me why you feel like it's even realistic that I can get it to you in 72. Just ask open-ended questions. Now, here's the thing. You're going to hear this word a lot today. So practice. Like anything else in life, you're only going to get better if you practice. So take notes during client calls. I used to have when I was trying to learn this before email was really big and Zoom calls were really big, I used to have a notebook sitting right next to my phone. And every time a client would call, I'd write their name at the top and the day and the time on a piece of paper, and I would just take notes. Okay. And little triggers is what they call them today. Right. So that I could practice during the call. Now, today we have all kinds of AI note-taking tools, right? Like there's one right now on this call, probably. There are little devices
Recording
you can
in
take into
progress.
meetings. There you go. All right. So capture those notes, okay? The second effective communication strategy is really important. This is both empathy and emotional intelligence, okay? Empathy involves what? Empathy involves understanding and sharing the feelings of other people, right? While emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and manage emotions effectively, okay? So recognizing and validating emotions comes into play when you use phrases like, I can hear, like if you're dealing with a client who's frustrated with you, you say, I can hear how frustrated you are, or I understand that this is really disappointing. Okay. So you're recognizing that they're frustrated or they're disappointed, and you're validating those emotions. Does that make sense? Okay. And then this is hard for some people. You have to maintain professional composure. It's important so that you don't escalate the problem. Your client who is mad, your client who is disappointed, your client who is being disruptive, their energy level is already way up here. If you match that, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. All right. This is where you see actual fights break out. We have to maintain composure. Even if a client like goes bananas, do your best to keep a tone a calm tone, and keep it professional. Take a deep breath, if you feel like you're getting upset. Now, if it gets dangerous, yes, back away, of course. You can go on Instagram or any of these social media sites, and once you look at one of these videos, you just get inundated with them. You see these videos of people freaking out and flipping out in restaurants and throwing things, right? That's when things have gone way too far. And again, I'm going to say it again, and then practice. Before responding to an upset client, take a deep breath and just imagine the situation from their perspective. Okay. And then there's this third key to effective communication. This strategy is to have clear and assertive communication. Clear and assertive. So being clear and assertive means expressing your thoughts and your needs. And here are the two key words here: respectfully and directly. The problem oftentimes is that some of us were too respectful in our communication style, and so we never make our point. We're so concerned about hurting someone's feeling or not saying the truth that we never really get around to solving the problem. And then there are other people that are on the other hand, and they're so direct, they're hurtful in their message. They don't have respect, right? And so you got to find a balance in there between respectful and direct. If you're overly respectful, you end up getting resentful. If you're too direct, you end up hurting everyone's feelings. Okay. So how do you do this? Well, use I statements. Okay. Have you heard I statements before? Instead of telling a client, you're being absolutely unreasonable, right? Which is you are being absolutely unreasonable. Try saying something like, I feel we may have different expectations about the project and the deadline date. Okay. I feel, right? Instead of you are a jerk. Okay. The next thing is setting boundaries, right? This is really important for clear and assertive communication. Clearly communicating when you communicate about your work hours or your response time and the scope of your service, that's vital to a successful relationship, right? This is oftentimes what triggers a lot of clients, right? They may say, hey, I emailed you at 4:30 yesterday, and you didn't get back to me within 5 minutes. Or I messaged you or I called you at 9 o'clock last night, and it's now 9 o'clock in the morning, and 12 hours is just too long for me not to hear from you. These are times when you have to set boundaries, and you might have to say, listen, my availability for calls is between 9 a.m. and 5 a.m. or 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Outside those hours, I'll respond to urgent emails and phone calls within 24 hours. These are hard conversations to have sometimes, but if you do them early on in a relationship, it's much easier to manage people. I'm going to say it again. I said it earlier. We have to train people how to treat us. Okay. So it's going to be very hard if you let somebody beat you up for 6 months and then go back and say, well, that's not acceptable anymore. And now there's new rules. Okay. But it can be done. Okay. So in order for you to practice, it's going to take some intentionality. And I would encourage you to role play difficult conversations during some of these team meetings you have. I know that you guys have meetings, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, but those shouldn't just be meetings, Joe and everyone else, where you're just sharing information. These should be meetings where there's training happening. Okay. And so I would encourage you to role play difficult conversations with colleagues and with friends. Okay. With a mentor that's in your life. Okay. And which brings us to this conflict resolution techniques. This is our next thing I want to talk to you about. So now we're going to talk about techniques. We went through we listed the types. We talked about understanding these people, like where are they coming from, right? And now what I want to move into is this conflict resolution. Now that we realize, okay, if I've got a problem with someone, I've got to communicate with them. Well, now what do you do? Well, when conflict comes up, when conflict arises, having a quasi or a structured approach can help any of us navigate a situation effectively, right? Because you got a plan, right? So let's explore what I think are the 3 key conflict resolution techniques in a little bit more depth. Some of you have probably heard this before. I didn't come up with this. I don't know where I heard it, but it's been a long time. But this is called the LEAD approach, LEAD. Okay. So L is for listen actively. Okay. So if you've got a disappointed or a disgruntled client or team member, or even someone in your life, a loved one, give them your undivided attention. Okay. Listen actively. So you're not distracted. You're not looking at your phone. You're not watching the television. You're not watching Netflix or whatever it is. You're giving them your undivided attention. You show you're listening through verbal cues. Okay. Saying things like, okay, I see. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're giving them verbal clues that you're actually listening. And you use appropriate body language like nodding and maintaining eye contact. If you have a disgruntled guest, a disgruntled client, a disgruntled customer, and you're standing there with your arms crossed, and you have a mean look on your face, or you have a scowl on your face, or you just have a blank face, that's not going to prove helpful to the situation. Okay? So watch your body language, nod, don't laugh, you might be uncomfortable, but this is going to take a little bit of practice. So L is for listen actively. E is for empathize sincerely. Empathize sincerely. Show that you understand their perspective. Well, how do I do that, Larry? Well, you say things like, I can see why this situation is frustrating for you. I would be frustrated as well. Okay. Now, A stands for apologize when appropriate. A genuine, a sincere apology can diffuse most tension in an argument or in a complaint. Simply saying something like, listen, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize for the confusion that this is caused. Okay. D is for, and here's the key, we have to deliver a solution. Okay. So in this point, and we're going to get into how do you do this here in a minute, but propose a clear path forward with something like, here's what I suggest that we do to resolve this. You have to take charge here. Here's what I suggest. Not this is what we're going to do. Here's what I suggest. You remember earlier I talked about give them choices. Give them chocolate or vanilla at least. Okay. And then here's the word of the day. Of course, we have to practice. Intentionally use this approach in your next difficult client interaction. And note what the effects are, the outcome, right? So where did I put it? So these books right here, I would encourage you, like a lot of the practice, the good thing about these books is that they're easy to read, but there's little exercises, and I've got so many pages that are turned down dog-eared and notes in this book. These are really good. I promise you, if you read those, it'll get you a long way. Okay. All right. I did D, right? Okay. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is number 2, the second conflict resolution technique that I think is really powerful in this it's problem solving framework. All right. So again, I didn't come up with this framework. You could go online and find a variety. There's a bunch of variations to this. Okay. But the first thing that we have to do in this problem solving framework is to identify the core issue. Like, what's causing this problem with this client? Is it a one-time thing? Has this been going on forever? So to do that, we have to ask probing questions. All right. We have to ask these questions so that uncovers the real problem. We have to ask, like, what specifically about the project timeline concerns you most, Joe? Like, what's the real problem here? Okay. This takes courage. All right. It takes guts to lean into this. I understand. Okay. So once we understand the core issue, then we have to, you ready? Generate multiple solutions. This is the time where you actually start brainstorming. You either brainstorm it by yourself, you brainstorm it with the customer or client, depending on how they're doing, brainstorm it with a team member. We have to brainstorm various approaches to solve this problem. All right. And here's, I don't know, I guess we would say to the client something like, we want multiple solutions. Listen, client, we could either adjust the timeline, we could add more resources, or we could modify the project scope. Let's explore these options. Okay? Give multiple solutions. The next step in this problem-solving framework is to evaluate options collaboratively. Don't do it alone. Okay? This is what I just referred to. It's really best to involve the client in choosing the best solution. So what you could do, you could ask, when it's time, once you know what the problem is, and now you're coming up with solutions, to say, of all those options I just gave you, like I just listed, we could adjust the timeline, we could offer more resources, we can modify the project scope. And I said, let's explore those. Like, what's the option? What option would you like? Here you say, of these options, which do you think would work best for you? Which do you think would work best for your team? Okay. Again, I'm not telling the client, I'm giving them options, and you're going to explore these together. All right. So the next thing we have to do, once we have all those three things together, is this fourth thing, is once we've got agreement on the options, we have to implement and follow up as quickly as possible. If you want to really make a client go explode, their head explode and go to the moon, it's like one of those cartoons. It's for them to complain about something. You tell them you're going to fix it, and then you don't fix it. That drives people crazy, right? So the best thing you can do is, once you've come up with, you've got an agreement on what the option is and the solution, you then have to implement it, and you have to follow up as quickly as possible. It's time to put that plan into action, and then you have to check on it regularly. You might tell the client, hey, let's review progress in a week to make sure that the solution is really working for you. Okay. Then you're starting to build this relationship. Okay. And of course, then what do we do? Practice. So we have to apply this framework to your current client's issues. All right. I'm sure you're all facing some challenge right now. So put it into practice, and then document document the process, write down the results, and then tweak it a little bit. Okay. And here we go. The third technique is using de-escalation tactics. Okay. So this is the third of the three conflict resolution techniques that I think works the most. All right. This is de-escalation. And as this little post-it note says here, de-escalation tactics start at home. They start with you. Okay. In order to de-escalate effectively, we have to focus on remaining calm. If the client is angry and we get angry, we're not going to solve anything. We have to remain calm. And this is not always easy. But we have to keep our voice steady and our body language open and not be threatening. I think this is particularly difficult for men. We have this natural proclivity that we want to fight. If someone's tone goes up with me, or they're starting to lean into me, my natural inclination is to lean in, and I want to like overpower them. And that is, in my younger days, I used to think that would work. That doesn't always work, right? This is not a time to prove something, right? We're in business. We're not out on this playground, right? We're in business. We're trying to make money. And if we treat all of our clients that way, guess what? Your clients are going to leave, and they're going to tell everyone, Joe is a real jerk. Joe treats his clients like garbage. Joe is a big meanie, right? That's not the long-term solution for success. Okay. So we have to remain calm. The next thing we have to do is we have to do our best to use a lower tone of voice. There's some great videos online to help us learn how to do this. Speaking softly oftentimes encourages others to lower their voice as well. If I'm yelling and you're yelling, it's just going to get louder and louder and louder, right? You see this a lot of times in these panel discussions on various news programs around the world, right? People just get into the yelling match, right? A louder, higher pitched voice is just going to increase the tension in the room, okay? And this next part is when we're seeking resolution, try to offer choices to the client. Like giving options helps them feel like they're more in control. Would you prefer that we discuss this via email? Would that help? Or would you prefer a call? Or would you prefer a Zoom call? Okay, give them choices. And guess what? Now, as always, practice. In your next heated discussion, consciously lower your voice and note the effect on the conversation. Okay? Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can put this into the chat. I found this article a while back that I shared with my company team. Copy, chat. Where is chat? Chat. It's a great article on LinkedIn. Okay, there we go. I just put the link in the chat, and you may want to go take a look at this. All right, it's close this out. 57 phrases to de-escalate any angry customer. All right, some of those phrases are really, really good. All right, so if you're interested, just follow that link, and I think you'll enjoy what Myra Golden, and I love her name, by the way, says about this. All right, so let's shift gears now. We've talked about what are these 4 types of angry clients, why are they doing this, what's causing it. We talked about communication, right? And now what I want to talk to you about is these client retention strategies, turning these difficult situations into long-term positive relationships. That's the ultimate goal for all of this, right? I'm going to share with you a really quick story. Many of you know that I have a hotel company, and one of the very first hotels I did on my own, like I used to be partner in a hotel company, and then I left and started my own company about 24 years ago. And the very first hotel I ever did on my own was out in a cute town here in California called Palm Springs. You may have heard about it, but I opened a hotel out there, and it was a very cool hotel. It was getting a lot of press coverage and all the big travel magazines. It was called Hotel Mojave, and everything was kind of luxury. We had great coffee, we had great bed linens, we had great amenities, we had a great team. But for some reason, this one guest was having a miserable experience, and we had only been open about a month, right? Or maybe it was 2 months, I guess. And I had a general manager named Jim was there, and he was there when they checked in, and then he was there when they had breakfast the next morning. And they were making some positive comments about how they loved the coffee. We had this really kind of boutique coffee brand that was there. And so this is 20 some years ago, before like coffee is what it is today here in the United States. And so they were very complimentary of that. But when they came back that afternoon, they felt their room wasn't clean yet. All right. The room attendant hadn't gotten there yet. And so she hustled over and cleaned the room. And the next thing you know, they say that they're missing a watch. And things just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so they went online and they wrote a terrible review on TripAdvisor. They wrote a terrible review on Expedia, where they had booked the thing. It was just scathing. It was scathing. My heart just sunk. And thank goodness Jim, who was our general manager, was used to dealing with it. He practiced all these things I'm talking about right now. He reached out to them. He called them. They wouldn't take the call. They would only yell at him. So Jim, without saying anything, asking permission, he bought them. He sent them 5 pounds of that coffee, 5 pounds of coffee that they had commented that they liked so much, and he sent it to them. They ended up going in and removing the 2 reviews that they wrote on Expedia and TripAdvisor. They had them removed, and then they wrote another review, gave us 5 stars, They talked about the challenges that they had, but they said in it, we overreacted. Jim was an absolute gentleman. Here's what he did. And these folks will have our business, forever. And and since then they went and stayed at many of our other hotels. So he made a little bit of, Jim put some extra effort into it, and he turned what I used to call customer service terrorists into customer service cheerleaders. Okay. They actually went out and started, referring us to other people. So you can have bad service, you can make mistakes and turn them around. Okay. So that was one of the things that we did when we tried to retain a bad customer experience or client experience. If you just fire every client that because they're having a bad day, it's going to be very difficult to grow your business. All right, these people, you've already spent all this money to get them there, to get them in your corral of business. It's worth putting a little bit of energy in to fix it, right? If there is a problem. And so the number one way I think of building client retention strategies is to build long-term relationships. This is why I try to pound it in everyone's head. Let's refer to these folks that we do business for, call them clients and not customers. All right. So how the heck do you do this? Well, you have to have regular check-ins with your clients. All right. You really must schedule periodic reviews with your clients, not just when issues or problems come up. Just tell the client, hey, Sally, I'd like to set up a monthly call to ensure that we're meeting your expectations and that things are going smoothly. I don't know if I've shared this with you folks. I shared it recently with someone. What I used to do when we had about 20 some hotels before the pandemic, and I think it was every Wednesday, I would come into my office at some point, and my assistant, Melissa, would have on my desk a list of 2 or 3 guests who had stayed at each hotel during the previous week. And I would just start calling them periodically. Hey, I'm just checking in. This is Larry, I'm the CEO of Broughton Hotel. It's how you stayed at the Georgian recently and wanted to see how that went. And they would be blown away. They were blown away. Like, when's the last time any of you folks got a call from a business owner and they're just checking in to make sure that your experience went really well? Okay. So do regular check-ins. All right. It really, really will make a big difference. But we really must take this personalized approach. So tailor your communication style to each of your different clients. Some clients are going to really want detailed emails. Others may just want a quick phone call. Yeah, your taxes are submitted, everything's good, and now other people are going to want to go through line by line with you. And then, of course, here's the thing: practice. You have to develop a communication plan for each of your clients. Right, noting what their preferences are. So if you have a CRM tool where you're keeping track of your clients, put in there what form of communication they like best. Okay, we're almost done, my friends. All right. The second strategy for client retention is to exceed expectations. And this means always going the extra mile. All right. So what is going the extra mile? Well, it's like being certain to. The easiest way I can think of this is, and you've probably heard this before, under promise and over deliver. Under promise and over deliver. If you think that a task is going to take 3 days, tell the client it's going to take 4 days and then deliver it in 3 days. That make sense? All right. The next one is this one. Exceeding expectations is about anticipating the client's needs. Think ahead about what your client might need. Call the client and say, hey, you know what? I noticed from your past financial statements that your busy season is coming up. How would you like to discuss ways that we can support you during this real high pressure season? Okay. Anticipate their needs. And yep, you have to practice. So for the next client project that you're working on, identify one way that you can go above and beyond what the client is even expecting. This is how you create raving fans. This is where you get referrals from your existing clients. Okay. So we're going to cover one more technique and then we're going to wrap up. And the third strategy for client retention is turning difficult situations into opportunities. Okay. And we do this by learning from conflicts and learning from our failures. After you've used some of these strategies and some of these techniques that we've discussed today, or you've worked on resolving an issue, reflect on what you've learned. Too many folks just go through life and they're solving problems or doing their job, but they never stop and stare at their navel long enough to say, okay, how are things working out? Okay, but we have to stop and learn. You have to ask yourself, how can I prevent this from happening again? And if it does happen, how am I going to respond to it? Okay. And the next thing we have to do in order to turn difficult situations into opportunities is to seek and implement feedback. Like, ask your clients, how are we doing? Are we meeting your expectations? Show your clients that you value their input, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, right? Let them know that, hey, based on your feedback last month, we've implemented some new reporting. They love to hear this. You made a complaint, we have fixed it. How's it going? Is that working out for you? And then, of course, practice. So after your next client conflict, write down 3 lessons that you've learned, okay, and how you're going to apply them in the future, okay? So, in conclusion, so to wrap this whole thing up, let me share a very brief parable, and I mean brief. How many of you have had a garden or a flower bed before that you've ever tended to? If you haven't personally had one, you've probably at least seen one. There was once a wise guy, a wise mentor, who told his protege, hey, in a garden, even the most stubborn weeds can be transformed into beautiful flowers with patience and with care and with the right approach. Okay? You've probably seen this with gardens. If you aren't out there pulling up the weeds, it gets overgrown by the weeds, right? But if you prune it, it can really turn into something beautiful. And that's how we have to deal with these guest complaints, these client complaints, these customer problems that you're dealing with. Just as an experienced gardener has to nurture these challenging weeds and plants, we have to cultivate a positive relationship with our most difficult clients. Okay? So finally, and then we're done. Remember that handling these difficult clients it's a skill. It can be developed. It can be refined over time. These strategies that we've discussed today are like effective communication, like conflict resolution, like client retention, are just tools that you can get better at. Okay? My friends, that is it. I hope that was helpful.
Excellent. Thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Does
Did you learn
anybody have
anything?
any questions before I jump in here? You can put them in the chat if you want. So I have a couple of common situations that we run into with clients. I want to know how what's the best way for us to deal with it, and the most prevalent is the non-responsive client.
Okay.
Would you consider that a client conflict?
Depends on what you're trying to get them to respond to. What are you trying to get them to respond to?
We're trying to get their information.
Oh, so you can provide their reports and that
Trying
kind
to
of thing?
get them to sign a document.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
trying to,
I
change
think that there's a way to
transaction.
communicate with them. I think there's a way to communicate with them effectively. The type of clients I'm talking about are the ones who are angry because we've made a mistake, we've missed expectations or whatever, right?
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily call them it's preventing you from doing your job for sure. But if you communicate with them by email and voicemail and say, hey, Ms. Rodriguez, we've tried reaching out to you by email and by phone, and is letting you know that we have to get this back by a certain date, or we're going to miss the deadline, the filing deadline, or whatever it is, or you're not going to get your P&L, your profit and loss statement done on time. And just let them know what the results are. And if you don't do it by then there may be an extra fee, a late filing fee, whatever it is. I know I've heard you say that before, that some people just don't respond. I wonder if they don't respond because they don't, and I don't know, you haven't said that. Do they never hear from you and they don't have a relationship with you? Like, do you call these clients, like we talked earlier, periodically, like, hey, I'm just checking in?
Well,
Like, not
so
when you're wanting something from them, but when you want to give them something. Like a
my
tidbit,
team
like, hey, I'm
is,
offering my
yeah,
service. I
our
recognize it.
team, our team is great at we, you know, it, they're great at that.
Then it's on the client. As long as you're saying, hey, if I don't hear back, this is the third email I've sent, or I've tried sending 2 emails. This is my, now I'm going to voicemail, and explain to them what's going on. I hate it when I get calls from vendors of ours and they say, hey, Larry, call me back. Is the place burning down? What do you need
We give
from
them
me?
detailed
Yeah.
request. We follow up
Good.
with them. What we've done is try to narrow down, like some clients don't check their email. So we say, okay, maybe we can text them.
You remember what I said earlier? In your CRM system, I talked about this.
Yeah.
Put in their preferred form of communication. So maybe when
We
you're
have this.
onboarding someone, when you're onboarding a new client, ask them, what's your favorite or what's your preferred form of communication? Phone, Zoom, email, text, whatever else you got. Carrier pigeon.
And the next one, and I think I know what you're going to say.
Uh-oh.
The,
Unpredictable.
so especially brand new businesses,
Yeah.
they don't know anything about what an accounting system is, why they have to get stuff to us, how, and most importantly, how they get stuff to us. So they just, a lot of times they try to make up their own rules. They just do what's convenient for them.
Well, do you remember I said you have to train your clients how to treat
Yeah.
you? Part of your
I know,
onboarding
I was
would be
thinking
to
that.
say, part of your onboarding would be say, depending on whether you're doing bookkeeping or accounting or tax preparation, is here's how you need to deliver the stuff to us, and here's when you need to deliver stuff to
Okay.
us. Make it really clear during the onboarding, and then follow up with the first month with them. Thank you for getting us to this, getting this to us. Oh, you missed this deadline. Train them in the early days. You can't just get frustrated and say, Joe, I sent it to him. I haven't heard anything. You have to make it a priority. Because ultimately, then your resentment builds up. The team members' resentments build up. The client resentment builds up because things aren't getting done on time. And then that's when relationships break down. So early on, invest in effective communication and
Yeah.
onboarding.
I'm sure, I mean, I'm sure Luz wishes that I took this training 4 years ago.
Uh-oh.
Because it's and Luz knows this. When she started, I was terrible. If a client didn't do what I asked them to do, they were just gone. If somebody annoyed me, they were just.
That's bad. I'm sorry, John. That's bad.
Oh
They're
no.
paying you. They're paying you to take the pain
I'm not
away.
saying it. I'm not saying it was good. I was
I
terrible
know.
at this.
Yeah. Well, listen, we all evolve. Hopefully we learn, we get better.
I've gotten a lot better. Have I gotten better, Luz?
Yeah, he's more patient now.
Yeah.
And
Good.
open-minded.
But this is excellent, and there
Well, that's
are
what moving to that's what moving to the Philippines does for you.
well, and this is what I want to mention because it seems like a lot of times, and even in when I'm doing my courses, I find myself talking about what it's like to deal with an American entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I remember when you were here, we were having dinner, and you made a comment. You said, "Are there any grumpy people in the Philippines?" Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And I said, "Yeah, me. I was the only grumpy one." But the point is, for uh, Philippine accounts that, especially ones that have been dealing with Philippine businesses, right? What worries me is when they start dealing with and let's use me as an example. If I was like their first US client, they would probably be shocked.
They think that all Americans were like the ugly New Yorker Joe. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what they expect, but it's not going to be the same as dealing with a Philippine.
No, but I was talking. I remember being there in the Philippines the last time, talking to one of the people that were at the Jumpstart, and they were talking to me about one of their clients who was a Philippine client that they were having a problem with. So it's not like there aren't problem clients in the Philippines either, right? And I know a lot of you get some of your folks are dealing with folks in South Africa. I know a lot of South Africans. I've been to South Africa a bunch of times. They can be problematic as well. There are problematic people all over the world. Are some people more respectful than others? Absolutely.
Okay. I got it.
I saw Anna had asked a question, and where did that go?
Yeah.
Was
At what point do we determine it's time? And this is great. What time? For me, like I said, it was if they give me any flack, it's time to
yeah,
end.
I don't think that's the way to do it. I think you're in the business to make money and to keep clients and to turn disgruntled. As I said about the one with the hotel guest that we gave coffee to, they turned from a customer service terrorist. What do I mean by that? It's hard for me to say that word nowadays because it's so charged. But they were out there spewing ugliness about us publicly, right? They became a cheerleader for us. There's another book I would encourage everyone to read called Raving Fans.
Oh, is that Seth Golden? No.
I don't. No, Seth Godin. No. It's it might be Ron Zemke or somebody like that.
Is it Gary? Okay, I think I've read that.
Yeah.
I think I actually have that.
So when's the best time? Anna, I would say it depends on how difficult are they? For instance, we've had very good clients, and I'm not going to say who it is. We had a national client, like you would know the brand. It's an international company. And their executive, no, it was what was his title? Chief Marketing Officer, okay, was at one of our hotels. And he is married. I mean, I knew him, and he was making sexual advances, and he was drunk on all of our team members. All right, and I fired him the next day. I fired that client the next day. I don't care whether it's. Oh, did I say the name of the company, Joe? Oh God, this. And I fired the client the next day. If it's something like that, that's different than we are miscommunicating. They expected to have a P&L or a balance sheet done by the 15th, and we got to them on the 17th. That's different. In that case, you try to have a few conversations. You go through these steps that I talked about, Anna, today. And if you tried it a few times and it's just not working and it's getting worse, sometimes you have to say to them, listen, we're doing the best we can. It just feels like we're never going to be able to meet your expectations. And so maybe it's best that we just give each other, let's figure out over the next 60 days or 30 days or 90 days, whatever it is. I'm assuming you're going to have an onboarding agreement with them. And you say, let's figure out how we're going to separate respectfully. I'll make sure it's smooth transition. You find a new bookkeeper, accountant, whatever it is, and I'll make sure it goes as smoothly as we can on our side. I think even breakups you can handle respectfully. And by the way, I've seen this. I've seen it over and over again with some of my clients. Once you do that, they say, "Oh no, I don't want to lose you guys. I've just been really frustrated." And then they shape up. And then you have to put them up, basically put them on probation. All right, well, let's try it for the next 30 days and let's see how it goes. Does that make sense, Anna? Did that answer your question? Okay.
So I read that book about emotional intelligence.
Uh-huh.
I think one of my ex-girlfriends recommended that I read it. But yeah, it definitely helped.
Yeah.
What were the other two books you showed them?
Knock Your Socks Off Service.
Knock Your Socks Off. And what was the other one?
Hey, I'm the customer.
Hey, I'm the customer. Okay. A book that, and this is the second time I'm reading it, he's got a lot of like, he deals with conflict resolution a lot like you, with Dr. Stephen Covey,
Oh, yeah.
the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting
His
a
son
lot.
had a book called The Speed of Trust. That's a really, really good book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, The Speed of Trust. The point
All
here
right.
is this. The more someone trusts you, the more likely they're going to give you business and do business with you. When they trust you, things go more smoothly. Think about traveling on an airplane 20 years ago, 25 years ago versus traveling on an airplane today. It takes so much longer. The whole travel experience is longer and harder and more painful today, right? Because
Oh
since we
yeah.
don't trust the public, we don't trust terrorists, we've got to go open bags, check bags, go through this magnetometer, go over there, get to the airport 4 hours early. I remember days when you would just, the whole family, like if I was going on a plane, my parents would walk right up to the gate with me. Okay, see you later, kind of thing. Now you can't do that because we
Yeah.
don't trust. Things take longer, they're more painful. Another good
Yeah.
book.
All right, Mr. Broughton. Does anybody else have any questions for Larry?
I realize that went longer today than normal. My apologies. I get long-winded on some of this stuff.
No, this was good again.
Yeah,
Okay.
we enjoy it, Larry. No.
Thanks, Lowe's. You're very kind.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. I want to thank you all for attending again. If you're not part of the premium program, and now it's only $3 a month, we have a lot of new benefits. We have 50% off on any of our courses. We have additional training, so I would encourage you to check it out. And right now, so what a couple of the courses that we're doing right now are the how to become a CPA in the United States, which is pretty exciting for me to see.
Yeah.
Like we had a class last night, Larry, and just about, I think all of our team members could actually qualify to take the CPA exam now.
That's great.
So,
Folks, I'm just going to put an exclamation point on this. If you're not part of the premium Jumpstart community, I'd really try to figure out a way for you to do that. Really, there's going to be so much value in that. There's going to be so many great programs and courses and benefits to be in that. It's silly not to be there.
yeah. And I'm actually right now, what I've been working on is something pretty exciting. I'm working on an AI, Larry, just for Jumpstart.
Of course you are.
Yes. That's my habit. All right. Yes, Eileen, I forgot about the pictures, so we got to do the pictures.
So please come on camera if you're around.
Yes.
Please open up your camera. Show your prettiness in your hands and face. Okay, everyone. 1, 2, 3, smile. One more, 1, 2, 3, smile. There you go. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
everybody. God
Have a
bless.
great day. Have a great weekend.
weekend.
God bless you. See ya.
Thanks, Larry.
Bye. Yep, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.